stop insulting children and adolescents by comparing Mr. Trump to them. To developmental psychologists say to developmental psychologists have begged people to stop comparing Donald Trump to children. Can't we all please stop using child and adolescent as epithets? Jeffrey Anson and Leen Arnebianson wrote in a letter to the New York Times. Stop insulting children and adolescents by comparing Mr. Trump to them, and hold him accountable for his own offenses. The letter was in response to a New York Times article in which columnist David Brooks claimed that at base, Trump is an infantilist. Mentally, Trump is still a 7-year-old boy who is bouncing around the classroom, Mr. Brooks wrote, citing the president's three-wheeling interviews with outlets like the Reuters and the Associated Press. Mr. Brooks also criticized what he saw as Mr. Trump's constant need for outside approval, and the frequent boasting that accompanies it. He cited the president's more outlandish claims, such as that he knows everything there is to know about healthcare, as evidence. Finally, Mr. Brooks claimed Mr. Trump had not developed a theory of mind, the ability to understand what someone else is thinking. Mr. Arnett and Ms. Anson, however, said it was unfair to attribute all of these qualities to children. Most children have no trouble sitting still by the time they reach first grade, they wrote. Nor do children need perpetual approval. If they did, they would find it wanting. The psychologist added that children as young as toddlers were able to understand other people's emotions, and feel sympathy for others' feelings. None of these flaws are true of children, certainly not the way they apply to Mr. Trump, they wrote. Other mental health professionals have previously urged people to stop comparing Mr. Trump to the mentally ill. It is a stigmatizing insult to the mentally ill who are mostly well-behaved and well-meaning to be lumped with Mr. Trump, who is neither. Psychiatry professor Alan Francis wrote in a letter to the Times in February. In making both comparisons, Americans are giving Mr. Trump an excuse for his unacceptable behavior, according to his critics. This is not madness, psychoanalyst Stephen Reisner wrote in an article for Slate. And the impulsivity, threats, aggression, ridicule, denial of reality, and mobilization of the mob that he used to get there are not symptoms. It is time to call it out for what it is, evil.